Be me. Cole, 26, coffee truck barista in Miami. Spend my days steaming milk in 90-degree humidity and pretending to care about the difference between oat and almond. Girlfriend is Aria, 25, wellness coordinator for a startup that makes apps for breathing. We live in a one-bedroom apartment that smells like eucalyptus and my damp work sneakers. Relationship dynamic is mostly her having chaotic energy and me holding the logistics bag. She decides we need a reconnection weekend because Mercury is in something or other. Apparently her cousin has a farm in North Carolina. She calls it a return to roots. I point out her roots are in Boca Raton. She says I am being spiritually geographic and ignoring the vibe. Fast forward 2 weeks. We are in a rental Nissan Altima that smells like industrial lemon and previous driver's depression. Drive is 14 hours of podcasts about murder and Aria analyzing my childhood trauma. I just want to listen to 80s synth pop and dissociate. We arrive in Raleigh outskirts. It is not a farm. It is a sprawling suburban estate where rich people cosplay as peasants. Fences are white vinyl. Barn looks cleaner than my apartment. Gravel driveway costs more than my student loans. Aria's aunt, Lorna, meets us at the door. Lorna is in her 50s, wearing linen flowy pants and huge turquoise jewelry. She hugs me and whispers, "Your aura is gray. We will fix that." I am holding 3 suitcases and a bag of Trader Joe's snacks. I say, "Thanks, Lorna. I'm just tired from the drive." She says, "Fatigue is just the soul saying no to capitalism." She is the unreasonable character. She takes the bags, but only the light ones, leads us to the guest room. It has a quilt that looks like it was stitched by pilgrims and a cross-stitch that says, "Live, laugh, livestock." I dump the bags. Aria flops on the bed and says, "Can't you feel the peace?" I feel the humidity and the vibration of my phone because work is texting me about the grinder setting. I leave the room to find water. Wander into the kitchen. It is massive. Island the size of an aircraft carrier. Uncle Hank is there. Hank is huge, red-faced, wearing a Bass Pro Shops hat indoors. He is eating sliced ham directly from the packet. He looks at me and says, "You the coffee boy?" I say, "Yeah, I manage a truck." He says, "Trucks are good. Coffee is bean water." "You like goats?" I say, "I have no strong opinion on goats." He says, "You will. Barley is a bastard." I do not ask who Barley is. Retreat to bedroom. Aria is unpacking her farm wardrobe. It is all overalls and flannel shirts she bought at Target last week. She looks cute but ridiculous. I am wearing my hoodie that has a hole in the cuff and jeans that have actual coffee stains. We sleep. Morning comes. Wake up to screaming, not human screaming, demon screaming. Look out window, see a goat stuck in a mud pit near the fence. Aria is already up. She is looking out the window, vibrating with excitement. She says, "Nature is happening." I say, "That goat sounds like it's dying." We go downstairs. Lorna is in the kitchen making kale smoothies. She shouts, "Crisis." Barley is grounded. We run outside. Mud pit is significant. Barley, the goat, is waist deep. He is bleeding like a siren. I am standing there in my sneakers wondering if I am expected to jump in. Mud looks like chocolate pudding but smells like sewage. Enter Mason. Mason drives up in a beat-up Ford F-150 that sounds like thunder. He hops out. He is 6'4", ginger freckles, wearing Carhartt that has actually seen work. He looks like a romance novel cover model if the genre was blue-collar mythological figures. Aria stops breathing for a second. I look at her. She is staring at him with eyes wide enough to catch flies. Mason ignores us and walks straight to the mud. He says, "Barley, you idiot." Voice is deep, resonant. Sounds like a cello made of whiskey barrels. He wades in. Mud ruins his boots, but he doesn't care. He grabs the goat by the horns. Shouts, "Kick, little dude." Goat kicks. Mud flies everywhere. I duck behind a fence post because I value my vision. Aria does not duck. She stands there and takes a glob of mud to the shoulder. She doesn't wipe it off. She smiles like she just got baptized. Mason hauls the goat out. Muscles ripple under his shirt. It is objectively impressive. I feel very small and very barista-like. Mason walks over, wiping mud on his pants. Lorna runs up clapping. She says, "Our hero, The earth provides. Mason looks at us. Eyes are green, intense. He says, "Hey, Lorna. Fence is rot near the creek. That's how he got in." Lorna introduces us. She says, "This is Arya, my niece, the spirit seeker. And this is, her companion. Doesn't even use my name." Arya steps forward, mud on her sweater. She says, "Hi, I'm Arya." That was primal. I cringe so hard my soul leaves my body. Mason smiles, and it's a nice smile, which makes it worse. He says, "Just farming." I'm Mason. Arya says, "What do you do?" Besides save lives. He says, "Mechanic mostly. Fix tractors, trucks, goats when they ask." Arya looks at me. She says he's a mechanic. That's so practical. I say I fix the espresso machine when it jams. Nobody listens. Lorna claps her hands. She says, "Mingle. Energy needs to circulate." Mason, "Stay for breakfast?" Mason says, "Got a radiator to flush, but I can drink some coffee." We go inside. Kitchen dynamic shifts. Mason sits at the head of the island. Arya sits next to him. I sit on the periphery near the toaster. Arya is asking him about engines. She knows nothing about engines, she asks. "So the piston is like the heart of the car?" Mason explains combustion. He uses his hands. His hands are large and scarred and have grease under the nails. Arya is mesmerized. I am eating dry toast because the kale smoothie looks radioactive. Lorna comes over to me. She whispers, "Don't be possessive. Let the energies dance." I say, "I'm literally eating toast, Lorna." She says, "Your chewing is aggressive. Release the tension." Breakfast ends. Mason leaves to go check the perimeter. Arya says she wants to see the pigs. I say I have to take a work call about the supplier order. This is a lie. I just need to sit in the rental car and breathe air that doesn't smell like incense. I go to the Nissan, sit in the driver's seat, turn on the ignition just to run the AC, look at my phone. Scroll Instagram. See, Arya has already posted a story, picture of the muddy field. Caption, grounded, earth, unexpected heroes. No picture of me. No mention of the boyfriend who drove 14 hours. Panic sets in. Emotional stomachache. Decide to go find her. Walk toward the barn. Past the goat pen. Barley. The goat is staring at me. Horizontal pupils. He knows. He creates a low bleat that sounds like mockery. Walk around the back of the barn. Pig pen is there. Smell is intense. See two figures. Arya and Mason. They are close. Too close for learning about agriculture. Arya is looking up at him. He is looking down. Classic height difference trope. She reaches out and touches his bicep. He doesn't pull away. Then they kiss. It's not a peck. It's a full-on movie kiss. Sunlight hitting the dust motes. Pigs grunting in the background. I stand there frozen, holding my phone like a shield. My brain is processing logistics. How do I get home? Who pays for the gas? Do we split the snacks? They break apart. Arya sees me. She doesn't look horrified. She looks enlightened. She says, "Cole, wait." I turn around and walk away. Pace is fast. Heart rate is 140. Walk back to the house. Sit on the porch swing. My hands are shaking. Lorna comes out. She is holding a crystal. She says the air is turbulent. Did you disturb the flow? I look at her. I say Arya is making out with the mechanic by the pig pen. Lorna pauses. She looks thoughtful. She says, "Pigs are very intelligent. They sense passion." I say, "Lorna, she is cheating on me." She sighs like I am a toddler refusing broccoli. She says, "Cheating is such a rigid word. Maybe she is sourcing new emotional data." I stare at her. This is the unreasonable character peaking. She believes this. She truly believes infidelity is just data collection. Arya arrives. She is flushed. Mason is behind her, looking sheepish but not devastated. Arya sits on the swing next to me. She tries to take my hand. I pull it away. She says, "This isn't what you think." I say it looked exactly like kissing. She says we are exploring. I say, exploring what? Ginger dentistry? Mason clears his throat. He says, look, man, I didn't know you guys were serious. Thought you were. Companions. He uses Lorna's word. I stand up. I say, we live together. We share a Netflix account. I bought that sweater she is wearing. Arya looks down at the sweater. Mudstain is still there. She says, don't weaponize gifts, Cole. That's transactional. I feel like I am in a fever dream. I say, I'm going for a drive. I need to leave the property. Need caffeine. Need sanity. Walk to the Nissan. Get in. Put key in ignition. Look up. Barley. The goat is loose again. He is standing directly in front of the car. He lowers his head. I honk the horn. Barley does not care about Japanese engineering. He charges. Rams the driver's side door. Huge thud. Dent is immediate and massive. Metal buckles. I scream, are you kidding me? Get out of the car. Barley trots away looking satisfied. Mason walks over, inspects the dent, runs his hand over it. Professional mode activated, he says. Crease is deep. Hit the support bar. I say the goat hit the car. Mason says Barley has issues with boundaries. I can fix this. I say we have insurance. Mason says insurance will take weeks. Deductibles. Claims. I have a shop 3 miles down. I can pull this out in an hour. Arya is standing there. She says, let him fix it, Cole. It's restorative justice. I say it's a rental car. Lorna chimes in from the porch, shouts, accept the help. The universe provides a mechanic. I look at the dent. I look at Mason. I look at Arya. I realize I am trapped. If I call Hertz and say a goat hit me, they will laugh and charge me $500. If I let Mason fix it, I have to hang out with the guy who just kissed my girlfriend. I choose the path of least financial resistance. I say, fine, fix it. Mason nods, says, follow me to the shop. He gets in his truck. Arya says, I'll ride with you, Cole. I say, no. Ride with him, you guys have. Data to source. Ari, she looks hurt. Good. I get in the dented Nissan, follow Mason's truck. Arya gets in his truck. I watch their heads through the rear window of his cab. They are talking. She is laughing. I am listening to NPR alone. Story is about microplastics in the ocean. Feels fitting. Arrive at the shop. It's a corrugated metal barn. Smells like oil, grease, and sawdust. Mason pulls the Nissan in, starts setting up tools. Suction cups, slide hammers, heat gun. He knows what he is doing. I stand by the door holding my elbows. Arya sits on a stack of tires. She looks like a country music video extra. She walks over to me. Low voice. She says, are we breaking up? I look at her. I say, you kissed a guy in a pig pen. She says, I don't want binaries. I want to keep us, but I also want to honor this connection. I say, what connection? You met him 3 hours ago. She says, past lives, Cole. Time is a construct. I say rent is not a construct. The lease is not a construct. She flinches. Reality check. She says, we can navigate this. Polyamory is very valid. I say, I'm not poly. I'm tired. Mason bangs on the car with a hammer. LOU noise. We jump. He shouts, sorry. Metal memory needs persuasion. I watch him work. He is efficient. He pulls the dent out, smooths it, buffs it. It looks 95% perfect. He is saving me $500. I hate him, but I respect the craft. He wipes his hands on a rag, walks over, says, that'll hold. Paint is a bit cracked, but if you rub dirt on it, nobody will notice. Rub dirt on it. Farm wisdom. I say thanks. He says no problem. Hey, about Arya. I stiffen. He says, she's cool. Intense. But cool. I say she's my girlfriend. He shrugs. Says, she said you guys were fluid. I look at Arya. She is studying a wrench like it's an artifact. I say she says a lot of things. Drive back to the farm. Silence in the car. Arya tries to play music from her phone. Folk indie acoustic sad girl music. I turn it off. Arrive back. Lorna is waiting. She says dinner is served. Gratitude feast. We go to the back porch. Long wooden table. String lights. Bugs hitting the lights. Zap, zap, zap. Entire family is there. Lorna, Hank. 3 random cousins. 4 kids. Kids are running around screaming. Hank is grilling corn. Smells like charcoal and lighter fluid. We sit down. Arya sits next to me. Mason is there too. Why is he there? Lorna invited him. He sits across from us. Hank puts a massive steak in front of me. I say I'm mostly vegetarian. Hank laughs. Loud booming laugh. He says, cow eats grass. You eat cow. You are vegetarian by proxy. Logic is undeniable in his mind. I eat the corn. Arya is looking at Mason. Mason is eating steak like a Viking. Lorna stands up, clinks a fork against a mason jar. She says speech to family, to new connections, to Barley for testing our boundaries. Everyone cheers to Barley. I drink my warm beer. Arya stands up. Oh no. She has that face. The I have an announcement face. She says, I want to share a vulnerability. Table goes quiet. Hank chews loudly. Arya says, today I felt a spark. With Mason. Cousins look at me. Cousins look at Mason. Arya continues, and Cole and I are processing this. We are rejecting ownership. We are embracing the village. She smiles at me benevolently. Like she is Gandhi, and I am a salt march. I just stare at my corn cob. Cousin Nina, in her 30s with tired mom vibes, speaks up. She asks, so are you dumping him or what? Arya says no. Labels are violence. We are adding, not subtracting. Nina looks at me. She says, you okay with this, hon? I look up. Entire table is watching. Lorna is nodding encouragingly. Mason is looking at his beer label. Hank is picking his teeth. I say, I think it's ridiculous. Silence. Lorna gasps. She says, judgment blocks the chakra. I say, she kissed him in the mud. I drove 14 hours. I pay the electric bill. This isn't a village. It's just rude. Arya looks shocked. She says, you're centering your ego. I say, I'm centering my dignity. Suddenly. Chaos. Barley. The goat appears again. He has escaped the barn. He jumps onto the porch. Hooves on wood, clatter clatter. He sees the salad bowl. He goes for it. Lorna screams, Barley, no! That's organic arugula. Mason jumps up. Hero mode reactivated. He tackles the goat. Table shakes. My beer tips over, spills all over my lap. Jeans are soaked in PBR. Barley is thrashing. Mason is holding him. Arya is shouting, don't hurt his spirit. Hank is shouting, get the rope. I am sitting there with wet pants, watching my relationship and my dignity dissolve in a cloud of goat fur and screaming. Mason drags the goat away. Arya follows him to make sure Barley is emotionally regulated. I am left at the table. Nina hands me a napkin. She says, honestly, run. I wipe my pants. It does nothing. Smell like brewery floor. Go to room. Pack my bag. It takes 5 minutes. Shove the hoodie in. Grab the charger. Check under the bed for socks. Arya comes in. She is breathless. She says, where are you going? I say, home. She says, now? It's dark. I say, I have headlights. She says, we haven't processed. I say, I processed. I say, I processed. You want a mechanic. I want to not be part of a throuple with a farm animal. She starts crying. She says, you're abandoning me. I say, you have the village. Ask Lorna for a ride. Grab my keys. Walk out. Past the kitchen. Lorna is there washing kale. She sees my bag. She says, running away is a trauma response. I say, goodbye, Lorna. Walk to the car. Night air is cool. Crickets are deafening. Throw bag in back seat. Get in. Start engine. Dent on the door catches the porch light. Looks like a scar. Mason walks out of the barn. He sees me leaving. He raises a hand in a wave. Not mocking. Just acknowledging. I don't wave back. Put it in reverse. Gravel crunching, drive down the long driveway, past the goat pen. Barley is there, chewing on a fence post. I swear he nods at me. Game recognize game. Drive onto the main road. Darkness. GPS says Miami, 14 hours, 12 minutes. I turn up the 80s synth pop. Tears start coming. Not sobbing. Just leaking. Feel stupid. Feel relieved. Feel worried about the rent. Drive for 3 hours. Stop at a gas station in South Carolina. Buy a Red Bull and beef jerky. Phone buzzes. Text from Aria. I feel so unsafe right now. The silence is loud. Don't reply. Text from Lorna. Sent you an invoice for the psychic consultation. Love and light. Block number. Drive through the night. Arrive Miami 10 a.m. Humidity hits me like a wet towel. Apartment is quiet. Smells like eucalyptus. Her yoga mat is in the corner. Her almond milk is in the fridge. I sit on the couch. Stare at the wall. Chipped mug on the coffee table. It's hers. Pick it up. Put it in a box. Start putting all her stuff in boxes. Books on breathing. Weird crystals. Flannel shirts. Work like a machine. No emotion. Just logistics. Afternoon comes. Go to work. Open the truck. Turn on the boiler. Steam wand hisses. Smell of espresso is grounding. Regular customer comes up. Gabe. Works in construction. He says, rough weekend? I say, went to a farm. He says, nice. Relaxing? I say, goat hit my car. Girlfriend hit the mechanic. Gabe laughs, thinks I'm joking. Tips me $5. I look at the tip jar. Realize I have to pay the rental deductible. Realize I have to find a roommate. Realize I am technically single. Phone rings. It's Aria. Let it go to voicemail. Listen to it later. Voice is shaky. Background noise of chickens. Hey, Mason says he can't drive me back. His truck broke. Irony, right? Are you coming back? Delete voicemail. Stand in the truck. Look out at the Miami skyline. Heat shimmer off the pavement. Take a sip of cold brew. Bitter. Strong. Good. Send text to landlord. Lease change question. Put phone in pocket. Get back to work. 1 oat milk latte coming up. Life is stupid. But at least there are no goats here. Ending unresolved. Logistics in motion. Dignity retained mostly.